and Alice. It's not her birthday, but we that camera up on the wall is recording this and streaming it now. So there's some people watching who are not here, and that this also is a reminder to me to tell you that our readings are recorded, and so both a video recording and an audio recording, and then a segmented audio recording will be available through Penn Sound, and we'll put that word out there. So one of the most important things about bringing Burt to the Writers' House, aside from getting to meet you, is to essentially have an archive. So we have our Burt Kimmelman Penn Sound pages there. We're going to add to it based on this reading, and so it's a great thing. So thank you, Burt, for doing that in addition to the live reading. The way Writers' House works is we start right on time, and then a few people filter in later. So what I want to do is encourage you, since you've occupied all of the chairs in the back, is to encourage you to take one row up. I will take my English 88ers and say, move up. Come on, guys. So that if you do that, the reading is a little more intimate, and also some people who come late can therefore get a seat. So thank you. We have several of Burt Kimmelman's books available for sale in the back. And we also have a broadside. Do you have one of them that we can show them? So on our letterpress, the Robinson letterpress, James Lamar and some of the Writers' House people created this gorgeous broadside on beautiful paper of one of Burt's poems, and they're numbered, hand letterpress printed, signed, corrected by Burt, and these are available, and it costs us more than $5 to make each of these, paper and all that. So we do sell them for $5, and they are frameable, and so you're certainly welcome to buy one. We also have the books, as I mentioned. So Burt Kimmelman, I'm so happy to introduce him. We've known each other for a long time. And welcome to the Writers' House, Burt. We had a wonderful session this afternoon earlier, a poem talk session on the poetry of Nathaniel Tarn, and that was a lot of fun. Thanks for doing that. Burt has published many collections of poetry and 2 book-length literary studies, and one of the latter is a terrific book about William Bronk and American Letters. And he's written scores of essays on, he's just about as eclectic as George, not quite, medieval as well as modern and contemporary poetry. For more than a dozen years, he was senior editor at Poetry New York. Is that right? It was more than a dozen years? That's a lot of work. The students in my modern and contemporary poetry class, several of them are here tonight, are especially delighted to have with us tonight a poet who is consciously working in the tradition of William Carlos Williams, among others. And not only is he working in the tradition of Bill Williams, who is a kind of a star of our course. He keeps appearing in various guises. And he's also kind of an inspiration to the Writers' House people. Not only does he work in the Williams tradition, but he's a northern New Jersey guy as well. Right? He teaches at NJIT. And you live in northern New Jersey or New York?
I live in
And you actually live there. What town?
Maplewood.
In Maplewood. Not too far from Patterson and Rutherford. But in his book, Mosaics. I'm sorry. I like Mosaics, though. He has provided me personally one of my favorite first lines of poetry written by anyone. And the first line is, "Nothing is ever decided." I just absolutely love that first line. It's fantastic. Somehow, which is this book, contains his most Williams-esque writing and is one of the most generative engagements with Williams at the level of the line since, I would say, Robert Creeley. It engages actually Creeley as well, among other poets. And perhaps this little poem from the book Somehow, one I'm about to read, very short, which is both Williams-esque and Creeley-esque, serves as an excellent introduction to Burt's concerns. It goes like this. It's called Self-Portrait. I lean toward you as if to say, here I am, not my eyes or mouth, but this gesture from the other side of these words. That's a self-portrait. Now, I hear he's catching himself leaning, as it were, toward the simple subject. I lean toward you, engaging with another person as the object. And then the poem wonderfully pulls back so that the gesture, rather than an easy subjective lyric I, is itself what is presented to the other. My eyes or mouth, but this gesture from the other side of these words. And then at the end, it turns out that the gesture comes from the other side of the words of the poem itself. This simple poem imagines an alternative to itself. And the simple presentation is both completely undone and exists as a self-portrait. Clearly, it exists because it stands on the other side of the words not said but imagined. So tonight, it's a privilege for me and for us at the Writers' House to hear some of Burt Kimmelman's words, and I think he's going to be reading us from some unpublished poems as well, and to watch him do what for me is my favorite activity of not just Burt, but of poets in general, in the act of imagining an alternative to the activity that he's doing as a poet, both the thing and the thing that he's not doing, which becomes a whole self-portrait. So welcome to him and also the alternative to him, but mostly him, Burt Kimmelman, to the Writers' House. Thank you, Burt.